I'm coming back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of chaos and the sons of order. You find yourselves now on the precipice of the most important battle that this realm has ever seen. You think that swords and gun are the only way to win a fight? No, there are other ways. Voting on Facebook. In other words, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. How are you doing today, George?
Oh, I'm very well, sir, very well. I'm full of coffee and incredible enthusiasm for the task ahead.
Excellent. As always, I am Adam. I'm Gruffy, your host, and this is George. And together, we are going to drink coffee and go through the very first annual Fluffy Awards.
Yes, the coffee is the life, ladies and gentlemen. Coffee is the life.
I would happily replace my blood with coffee if I could.
Oh, absolutely. That would be of enormous benefit to me. I mean, I'm halfway there.
Mm-hmm. I'm
getting towards it. I am just maybe not, but I'm very, very close to some sort of coffee-infused transcendence, to becoming sort of the chaos god of coffee.
Adeptus Caffeinicus.
Something like that, yes. I'm very, very close indeed. It's like that scene in Futurama where Fry drinks like 99 cups of coffee and everything. He has like a metaphysical experience. It's very, very, very like that.
So what you're saying is if you were a Tyranid creature, you would be a Caffeinorex.
Something like that, yes. Something very much like that. Yeah, I could get behind that.
Carnifex.
I want to see that modelled now. I really, really want to see that model.
I'll buy a Carnifex and give it like a little Starbucks hat.
I was thinking that exact thing. I actually had an image of a Carnifex painted in the Starbucks green and white and black.
Actually, that would look really cool.
It would actually look rather cool, wouldn't it? In fact, I do believe there is a Hive Fleet. Hive Fleet Tiamat has colours not unlike that. Not unlike that.
I don't need reasons to spend more money, especially with what I saw on my little rumour mill list this morning.
Oh dear, what's going on?
Apparently the rumour mill yesterday was saying that there is a new version of Warhammer Quest coming in April.
Okay.
It's going to be death-based.
Of course, that would make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. That would make a lot of sense.
And April, May, Dark Elves, and whatever the current Elves is going to be.
Well, what they are, because they're one of the factions in AOS that haven't really... We've only had rumours.
Yes.
They wouldn't be the Dark Elves anymore. Obviously, they're the elves of, is it Akshi, the realm of shadow? Yeah. I can't quite remember what it is. Is it Akshi? That's going to be very... So that means that we are also going to get the... I would assume we're going to get the Lord of Akshi. We're going to get... He's not called Malekith anymore, is he? What's he called?
I can't remember, but he's now a dragon,
because
isn't he?
he's fused with the dragon,
yes,
hasn't he? He's become like this incarnation of shadow and darkness. Yep. So, interesting.
And of course, the rumour for some time has been that the Dark Elves are now going to be completely nautical. So it's like...
pirate!
Think...
sort of pirate corsair theme.
Yeah, think Deep One Corsairs with crab people.
Oh my god, that may... If that's the case...
Yeah.
If they have a sort of Lovecraftian bent to them...
Never.
Then that may be an army I need to collect.
Never have I wished for a rumour mill to be more off the mark.
My god, that would...
Because I won't be able to stop myself, you know.
No, that's mental, but that is a very clever way of characterising them if they do that. Because that removes them completely from what they were in Fantasy Battle, which was a bit dull, to be honest. They were just spiky elves, weren't they? They were just spiky elves, and that was basically it. They were Chaos Elves. They were just like Chaos Elves with a different name, you know?
They were the hair metal elves!
Yeah. They really were. They really were. I mean, the only model I liked really from them, I liked Malekith. I didn't like the dragon he rode, but I liked him. I liked his helmet and everything. Yeah. And I kind of like Morathai as well, but the others not so much.
I've always had a soft spot for those old 90s led witch elves.
Oh, the old ones where the blades are so thick they couldn't slice anything with them.
Yeah, the ones who are wearing more boots than anything else. You know,
the hair metal ones, essentially.
They are full-blown LA guns! Yeah!
They so are, aren't they? They're sort of like the worst sort of hair metal archetypes imaginable.
They are. And I love them. I love them for that. There's just something about, that is a lot of hair. Well done. And it's from a time when there's a lot of sort of naked anatomy on them, but the technology wasn't such that you could really sculpt convincing anatomy. Yes, yeah. So it was all what's the word I'm looking for? Porn star.
Kind of, yeah.
It was all
kind of. They could do them beautifully now.
Oh yeah.
They could make something truly beautiful out of them now, but
you'd want to just chop them at the weight and put them onto the bottom half of something really grotesque just to mess with people.
Just to mess with people, yeah. But yeah, that's an excellent rumour. That's a well, please be true. Fingers crossed.
See, on one hand, I really want it to be true. On the other hand, I don't, because...
Yes.
Good God.
Money. I mean, with the Undead Legions coming too very soon. That's going to be fantastic. The book alone is a must-have. Mm-hmm. It's a must-have, because have you seen what's going to be in it?
Yeah, it's not just a battle tome as such. There is a lot in there. There's
it's going to be big, isn't it?
There's basically 3 battle tomes, plus a scenario book, plus a small beginnings of the campaign book.
It's going to be mental. It really is. And also, from what they're saying, there's loads of background in there about Sheesh.
Yes.
About the realm of death. So they're going to actually look at how people live there.
I know. Oh.
You know, because there aren't just skeletons and undead things there. There are actually living people in Sheesh. Bizarrely, the realm of death, but there are living people there who live under Nagash and who worship him as God, essentially, which he kind of is there.
This is the thing I've been asking for quite some time. I want to see books that describe the realms a bit more, that give you an idea of what it's like to live there. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And apparently Nagashizar has been rebuilt there.
Yes.
That's awesome, because that's one of my, of all the settings in the old world, one of the ones I really always loved was Nagashizar.
Yeah.
Just because of the overblown scale of it.
What I like to think of, it hasn't been rebuilt, but when the old world exploded, Nagash just piloted it.
Yeah, he just transported it there.
He was just sitting in it, just using all of his power to keep it moving, and just like do-do-do-do-do-do, and he floated through the cosmos for untold years and millennia, and he just do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and then when the new realms were built, he just went, that one, mine, and landed it.
By all accounts, he's not very happy either, is he?
Oh, he's a sad Nagash.
Nagash is very unhappy at the moment, by all accounts, largely due to Sigmar and Nurgle. Mm-hmm. That they seem to be the ones that are really causing him problems right now.
Did you notice that when the Death Book got announced, a lot of people seemed to be under the impression that that's what the malign portents were all about? That it was just leading to that Death Book?
Yeah.
I thought it was quite weird, because no,
there's a lot going on. There's a lot building up, isn't there? I mean, it looks like what they're trying to do, because the last year, understandably, was 40k focused. You know, it was primarily 40k focused. Yes. They're trying to do something for AOS to sort of like give it a bit more oomph, give it a bit of dynamism, and they seem to be doing very well. I mean, the Maggotkin of Nurgle have just been released, and they look lovely. I'm awaiting that book with bated breath. I really am. So that's fantastic. We've only got one to go now. My favourite. We've only got Slaanesh, who there are rumours floating around that there's going to be a big Slaanesh release later in the year.
Well, did you see the video that popped up this week? I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it's the Watcher of the Portents being seen by somebody.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's a female voice. Now, you could go down the list of it's. Oh, crikey, what's her name? The Acolyte of Blood.
What, Valkyr?
No, Nagash's vampire.
Oh, Neferata.
Neferata, thank you.
Neferata, I love her. I love all the vampires, actually. I think they're all great.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. Yeah,
Conrad being my favourite.
Of course.
Because he's mental.
Yeah. I want to see the other cast irons getting reintroduced. I want them to reappear at some point.
There's a couple of them knocking about, aren't there? Vlad is still around.
Yeah.
Vlad's still alive. Manfred is still around. Isabella, I'm not so sure. I don't know whether Isabella is still around or not.
I think so.
Because she was really properly done with at the end of the old world. God, the stuff that happened to her really was surprising.
Yeah, I don't think there was much left.
I mean, she became like a minion of Nurgle.
She did.
She actually became a minion of Nurgle at the end of the old world, which was like, what? That's brilliant.
I mean, I suppose if you're going to be undead and unchanging and undying, you're going to get a little bored, so you might as well go, well, who's going to break the cycle? Oh, hello.
Mind you, that said, there's always ways of bringing them back. I mean, I think Vlad was pretty comprehensively killed at the end of the old world as well, but he's still knocking about, so...
To be honest, I am loving what Manfred's become in AOS.
Oh, I like Manfred a lot.
He's just so off the wall. Bastardy.
Yeah. Well, Manfred was the one that destroyed the old world. I know that people say it was Archaon, and in technical terms it was Archaon, but it was Manfred because he was rankling under the enslavement of Nagash. Basically, he's the one who allowed it to happen. He'd rather see the world destroyed than be a slave to Nagash. You know, he's a bit of a wild card.
He is
Manfred. Nagash really wants to watch him.
Yeah, of course, because otherwise. You might find yourself being mildly irritated because you're goddamn Nagash.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, I can't imagine what Manfred could actually do.
Nagash spent time in one of the books hitting the floor with some Stormcast. And he didn't need to touch them to do it.
No, he is just that powerful. Especially,
love Nagash.
You know, within Sheesh, I imagine he's just unbelievable.
I'm currently reading my way through the Nagash trilogy.
That explores his background and how he came to be Nagash.
Yeah, and I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's quite a good series of books, actually, that one.
But anyhow, right.
Yes,
on.
Anyway, before we get lost.
Which we are very, very, very easy to do.
Yeah.
Let's get these awards going, because we have got 15 categories to get through. And what we're going to do is I'm going to pick them out at random, so we get not at random. I'm going to pick them out so we get the big awards at the end.
Cool.
So let's start with a really bad one.
Okay.
Let's start with the biggest misstep that Games Workshop did in 2017.
2017? No, it's tricky.
Yeah, no, this is one that didn't get a huge amount of answers. And I do have to say that whilst the majority of these votes and nominations came in from the Fluffenhammer Facebook group, I do have to thank both the YouTube people for putting some votes in, and I do have to thank West Cumbria Gamers and Carlisle Gamers for jumping on board as well.
Awesome.
Much appreciated, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So, what is the biggest misstep?
It's very difficult to say. Most of what they did was so good.
Yeah, I agree.
In 2017, it was so good. I can't actually think of anything specific. All I can think of is stuff that they didn't really have much choice over because they were really pushing 40k, so AOS was a little bit neglected.
It was. Weirdly enough, that didn't get a huge amount of votes.
No?
Let's have a look.
So what was it? What was it that people said?
It's, well, if I give you two, actually I'll give you three, and let's see if you can work out which of these is the winner. Products on the shelves. Not getting there. Because apparently it's been a bit of a problem, not so much here and America, but in all the other countries, in any other country that GW has a foothold, product has not been staying on the shelves.
Oh,
so it's been very, very difficult to be able to get all the stuff.
Oh, that's very difficult to count as a misstep, though, isn't it? Because that says to me that what they did was maybe underestimated demand there. Yeah. So that suggests to me that it's actually selling very well, and that's it is kind of a business misstep. But even so, that's got a more positive slant, really. That one.
Yeah. Or is it Shadow War Armageddon? But there's a problem there, because Shadow War Armageddon was actually the end of last year, not the beginning of this one.
Yeah, it doesn't really count as such.
Is it AOS taking a backseat?
Again, not really a misstep. That was a deliberate business strategy, and it's understandable. You know, it's just the nature of the beast.
Or is it the Necromunda releases?
I think it's probably going to be the Necromunda releases, because there was a lot of hubbub on the internet about the way they were releasing, like, the gangs, you know, the way they were stepping the gangs rather than just releasing it in one book. Which is how it used to be, how it was, how they're basically using almost like the codex system.
They are,
for it. Again, I think it was more a deliberate design strategy rather than a misstep, but it may have been the kind of thing where they may have overestimated people's interest in that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, it is. The winner is, of course. That was a terrible drum roll.
It really was.
Yeah, that was awful. It is Necromunda. Necromunda's release schedule has... And everyone loves the game. Everyone thinks the game is fantastic. And the fact that
I've heard nothing bad about the actual game.
No. But people are annoyed that, for example, if you want to play a Vansar army, a Vansar gang, you still can't.
Yeah.
You've got to wait for the third Necromunda release to be able to get hold of it. I can see why they have chosen to release it this way, because that original release is a board game.
Yep.
And then everything else is an expansion that pushes it out.
Yep.
But it does get quite expensive doing it that way, and it's not... I can see where people are coming from anyway. I can...
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the dynamism... The thing with games like Necromunda is they're very specific, aren't they?
Yes,
they're not like 40k, say, which is a long-term project. It's a long-term... you can have lots of different projects on the go. It's that one thing, isn't it? You know? And it's very easy for the enthusiasm for that to die, especially if your army is not represented at initial release.
Totally.
So, yeah, that may have been a bit of a misstep on their part.
But on the other hand... Blood Bowl and Shadespire have a similar release schedule in place, but no one's complaining about Blood Bowl.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just because of the specific nature of Necromunda. Maybe people just wanted it complete in the box, so they could take it, play it as they wanted to play it, and that's the end of it.
Like it was originally.
Like it was originally.
In no way am I belittling anyone who said that this is a problem, because I do agree to a certain extent.
Oh yeah, I totally see how it's a problem. I totally see how it's an issue.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our first award then. It is that Necromunda is the biggest misstep that Games Workshop have done in 2017.
As missteps go, not that bad, really.
Well, you go back a couple of years, and let's say the biggest misstep would have been...
Jesus Christ! If we were doing 2016 or something like that, then it would be almost an entire episode of nothing but missteps.
Yeah, 2012.
Ooh. Jesus. Yeah, that was a low point. That was a low point.
All right, let's jump out for another one then. Let's see what we've got. Let's go for Best Specialist Game.
Oh, God, in 2017?
Yeah.
Oh, God, there's so much good stuff. That's the problem. There's so much stuff coming out.
You want a hand?
Yeah, go on.
So, the nominations...
What are the options?
The options that got the most votes.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where we get into some batshit.
Yeah, okay.
I do love a little bit of batshit. So, we've got Shadespire, Necromunda, Blood Bowl version 2, so Season 2. Gorchosen, which I'm sure did not come out this year, but...
I'm fairly certain that came out last year, so...
but enough people have said it for me to have ordered a copy of Gorchosen.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Fair dues.
So, basically, corn warriors blatting one another. Yeah. That's what Bloodchosen is.
Pretty much.
That's what people want, damn it.
Yeah. Trolls in the Pantry.
Okay.
I salute the three people who mentioned that.
Fabulous.
Sorry, Goblins in the Pantry. And Ow, That's My Foot.
I really like the batshit ones. I really do. But I've got a funny feeling Blood Bowl might sneak it.
Ah, you think Blood Bowl? Okay.
Yeah, got a funny feeling.
So which of those have you played?
I've played Necromunda, which Necromunda's great.
Oh,
it does feel just like the original one, but with sort of like some of the refinements from 8th Ed.
Yeah.
just sort of mixed in. It really does work well. Needs a bit more. It needs a bit more variety. It needs a bit more oomph in it, you know. But barring that, it's loads of fun. And I played the new Blood Bowl, which I actually really like.
Yeah. Would it surprise you to know that the one who took the most votes and was nominated more times than anyone else, by quite some way, isn't Blood Bowl?
Really? What is it?
And isn't Necromunda.
Now, that does surprise me.
Shadespire.
Shadespire, right, so one of the new boys, really.
And to be fair, it did pip it. We are talking like 0.5% more votes went to Shadespire than to Necromunda. And Necromunda pipped just above Blood Bowl. It's actually quite weird. I was looking at trying to do some analytics for seeing just how much the percentages of each thing changed and what we got. But yeah,
wow! So the new one pipped out 2 of the big fan favourites.
Yeah, the newest game took it over Necromunda and Blood Bowl.
That's impressive. Well done, Shadespire.
What's weird is it's thanks to West Cumbria Gaming that did it. So.
I mean, I suppose it's also. I mean, it is also feeding into the stuff that's going on in the general AOS universe, isn't it? You know, so that kind of helps because it is part of the story, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's one of those weird things. It baffles me because I honestly thought Necromunda was going to take it.
I would have laid odds on Necromunda or Blood Bowl, definitely.
I say Necromunda was storming ahead, and Blood Bowl was bringing up a really, really strong rear, and then just Shadespire at the very last moment. If we had done this at the end of last year rather than here at the beginning of the new year, Necromunda would have won it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've no doubt. I've no doubt. I mean, just for nostalgia, even if the game itself was crap, it probably would have won, but just because for the nostalgia factor of it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that this surprised me, very, very much surprised me.
Yeah, but it's kind of a pleasant surprise. I like the fact that people are moving on, that the new stuff is getting a look at.
It is, yeah. I am very sad that nobody nominated Chainsaw Warrior, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Or Judge Dredd Block War.
I was just about to say, I was just thinking any of the Judge Dredd based games that they released.
Have you actually played Shadespire yet?
I haven't. No, I haven't played Shadespire. What is it? How does it work?
It's much more of a board game than anything else that they've pulled out so far. I
know about the city.
Yeah.
I know about the city of Shadespire and what Nagash did to it.
Yeah.
Why he got angry at it, which I love.
So good.
Love it. I love the fact that he got angry because they were putting souls in bottles.
Sounds familiar.
So he's right. You like bottles, do you? Have a whole city in a bottle and stay there forever.
You can't die. You can't live. I'm Nagash, and I said so.
And it does emphasize just how divine he's become.
Yeah, that he can actually put down retribution like that.
Yeah, because it's very mythic, isn't it? It's very mythic what he does. It's sort of like, ooh, don't really want to mess with him.
I want to be on his side. I like Nagash. Nagash is my spirit animal.
Problem is, if you're on Nagash's side, then you are enslaved to him like for eternity. There's nothing you can do. You never have your own will.
What if I brought him cake first?
I don't think he's that concerned about cake.
What if it was Soul Cake?
Possibly.
What if I recorded him loads of episodes of Soul Train?
Again, don't think he's that concerned.
Damn it. Alright, okay. Anyhow, moving on.
Let's move.
Right, next one. So the unintentional funniest moment of Games Workshop in 2017.
Oh, that's a really the unintentional funny moment, because there are lots of intentional funny moments in 2017, 2016. Lots and lots of intentional funny moments. The one that gave me the biggest laugh was the 12 Days of Christmas video. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. It's just like, poking fun at yourself. I love it. But unintentional.
Now, the weird thing is, I'm going to put a little caveat on this, that I'm just going to change this to the funniest moment, because I think a lot of people voted for the actual funniest moment rather than unintentional.
Yes, rather than the unintentional funniest moment. Right. Well, in that instance, that blows it wide because there's loads.
Yeah.
absolutely loads. There was like the mini wargaming video that they did where they invited the team in to run around the studio. That was quite funny. There's loads of stuff on Warhammer TV. Loads of stuff, like the naughty little suggestions that they throw into each video where the camera just pans over a miniature that hasn't been released yet, or from a miniature from a line that hasn't been released yet, that kind of thing. But for me, it would be that video. It would be the 12 Days of Christmas video, which I thought was fantastic.
Yes, it really was.
It just made my Christmas. It really did.
So the nominations are the 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah. Loved it.
The Total War Age of Sigmar collections of comments. The release of the Tomb Kings in Total War Warhammer 2.
Kind of a joke, yes.
And one I'm fairly sure was done entirely on purpose.
Oh, yes, I think so.
And What's White Dwarf?
I think What's White Dwarf might pip it, because that one was very popular.
I'm not going to do it for too long. Yeah, Duncan and his amazing What's White Dwarf wins it, because that thing was an absolute work of genius.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, if we were doing 2017? No, 2016, when Warhammer TV first really started to take off.
Yeah.
It would have been the two thin coats of paint meme. Which is basically just spread like wildfire.
It has.
I do like
the fact there's pictures of Duncan wearing two thin coats to go outside.
It's so silly.
It's beautiful.
It's so silly. There would have been so much, like the reveal of Magnus the Red, when they were digging through the bins.
Yeah.
That was genius. Absolute sublime genius. But yeah, what's White Dwarf?
Yeah, that very, very good. Very well done.
Very, very well done indeed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think my personal favourite was definitely the 12 Days of Christmas. I loved it. I loved it for just the spirit it shows.
Yeah.
Just sheer spirit that it shows.
There was nothing but joy in it. And that joy was also wrapped up in showing you new stuff that was coming.
Oh God, yeah, the reveals were great and very well handled as well. Yeah. Very well handled. Like the reveal of the Great Unclean One at the end, where the camera just shifts and he's just there. Amazing. And it really was one of those moments, It really was. It makes you feel like a kid again. It's that wonderful, wonderful thing that makes you feel like a kid again, which is what, really what Games Workshop should be doing. It is a hobby. It's a hobby industry ultimately. That's exactly the kind of emotion it should be evoking. So well done for that.
I think it very much shows the community spirit. There was actually a nomination that I should have mentioned here, which came very, very close, and because for some reason I totally forgot to write it down in my list. Because I'm an idiot. The second place actually goes to the Regimental Standard.
Oh, God, yeah! Regimental Standard is awesome.
Up until recently, once again, if we'd done this at the end of last year rather than the beginning of this year, the Regimental Standard would have taken it.
Oh, absolutely it would. Just for sheer wit.
To give you an idea of how close this actually got, there is 1 vote difference between Regimental Standard and What's White Dwarf.
I can well believe that, because Regimental Standard is of such a high quality. It's laugh out loud funny.
It really is. It really is.
What was it? The most recent install about the Zangors, where it says at the bottom something like, referring to the enemy as bolt catchers will be frowned upon.
The bit that got me about that was use the same tactics that you would for any heretic. Asterisk. And at the very bottom, scream traitor to put them off their stride.
Brilliance. Absolute brilliance. I love it.
But, I love the Regimental Standard. I think it's one of the best things that Games Workshop's ever come up with.
Yeah, I mean, definitely we salute the Regimental Standard in all of its brilliance.
The stuff that was going on when the entire fight on Cadia was taking place, the way that a lot of that was being written. The one that sticks in my mind is, of course, some of you may have heard that Cadia has been destroyed and all of the Imperial regiments have been withdrawn. This is not true. Asterisk, it is very true, but to discuss it is heresy.
What I love as well is there's this sense of humor, but there's also they drip feed stuff into it.
Yes.
One of the Cadia installments talked about how some Imperial regiments on the front had reported fighting a very large snake-like four-armed winged individual.
Mm-hmm.
Discussion of this will be treated as heresy. Presaging Fulgrim, Saging Fulgrim, who I'm sure is on his way.
Oh, he is.
I'm sure he's on his way. And that's when, quite frankly, I'll explode all over the Fluffenhammer. It will be just like fanboying kind of ridiculousness. It will be absolutely absurd.
Arcing jets of joy all over the...
Absolutely, yeah, that's exactly what it'll be. From multiple sort of tendrils and orifices, and yeah, it will.
I was just reminding myself of another one from the Regimental Standard. I did, and then it went away again. God damn it, I hate it when that happens. Oh,
brilliant.
No! You said about the four-armed... Oh, yeah, it was the sight of these creatures is too much for a loyalist to bear, so look away now, asterisk, at the very bottom, which says, then look right back. Reading the Regimental Standard in its entirety is classed as loyalism. To not do this is heresy. It's just...
Awesome.
Hang on, you're making them look at heretical pictures.
Brilliant. And then charging them with heresy. Yeah. It's ace. It's ace.
I love the Regimental Standard. And it upsets me that the Regimental Standard didn't take the place, because it is my personal favourite, funniest thing that Games Workshop does.
It is brilliant. The writing is good. It's standout brilliance.
Yeah. Right, next one. Let's go to YouTube channel.
Okay, so what? Oh, that's interesting. So, is this blown open to like any YouTube channel? So this is like independent YouTube channels.
Yes.
There's so many.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many. There are lots that people really don't like. I don't dabble that much. The only ones I really watch, I watched the Warhammer TV one, which is actually pretty. It started off a bit rough because they were trying to find their feet, but it's actually really good fun now. Mm-hmm. I'll only watch the mini wargaming stuff if it's something I really want to see perform, you know, because they could be a little bit annoying. Because they get stuff wrong all the time. All the time. It's one of those, you know, when some football fans like shriek at the television.
Yes.
It's a bit like that for me. It's a bit like that for me. You've forgotten the special rule. They can do this. You know, it's ridiculous. That is. I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. Who are the nominations?
Right. Get ready.
Okay.
So, we have the Terrain Tutor.
Okay.
And that was posted by the guy behind the Terrain Tutor.
Okay, cool. Hello, sir.
We've got Tabletop Minions.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 Plus Tough, which I've never actually seen.
We've
got... where's the other one gone? I can never pronounce the poor guy's name. Kirioth?
Oh, Kirioth. Yeah. I like Kirioth. I like Kirioth quite a lot.
And then my personal favourite, Duncan's Big Blue House.
Awesome. Brilliant. I mean, I like Kirioth because he's very balanced.
He is, yes, yeah.
He's sort of like the anti-nerd rage guy.
He is, yeah, he is.
Which I really, really, really like. He discusses things in a very calm and quite eloquent manner. So my personal favourite from that lot would probably be Kirioth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I do have to say that Watch Mojo got a couple of votes as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know why Watch Mojo got a couple of votes. I don't think they've done anything Warhammer based, but
fair enough. Okie dokie.
And then 3 people said my videos. So thank you, those 3 people. So out of all them, you think it's Kirioth, yeah?
Well, I mean, my personal favourite would be Kirioth, but I don't know. I'm not really up on the YouTube channels enough.
Would it surprise you to know that the YouTube channel is a joint number 1?
Okay, so who made it?
Tabletop Minions and Kirioth.
Oh, fabulous! That's really good. So one of the much bigger channels. I mean, one of the much bigger channels and one of the slightly smaller ones. That's really nice.
Now, I do have to put a caveat on this, because it's not just Tabletop Minions that won it.
Right.
It was Uncle Atom.
Specifically,
Uncle Atom managed to win it. It's actually quite strange. Tabletop Minions got a couple of mentions. Uncle Atom got round about the same kind of mentions as Tabletop Minions.
Okay.
So you've kind of got to lump those together, and because of that, it's the same. It's he got the same amount of votes as Kirioth. So it's a joint number 1 between Kirioth and Uncle Atom.
Fabulous stuff. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So, congratulations to those guys.
That makes me very pleased that Kirioth got up there, because I like his presentation. I like his manner of presentation. I like the fact that it's not rage, as it can often be. And he's very considered. He's very considered in the way he presents things, so that's kind of cool.
So, I think at some point I'm going to try and get in contact with those two and just say, "You've won this!"
Yeah, here's a cookie.
It means something, honest.
Yes, well done you. In the most condescending way imaginable.
Yes, have a handshake over the internet. Here is a picture of a handshake.
Or someone patting a child on the head.
Yep.
Well done.
Right, so let's go for another one that is media-based. Let's go for the Podcast Award.
Oh, cool, okay.
So
if we don't win, I'm going to cry. I'm not gonna cry at all.
Yeah. So the nominations are the Fluffenhammer, obviously. The Adam and George Show, in brackets A+G.
Excellent. We're going to have to produce badges or shirts that have got that on.
There are shirts coming. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. Fluffenhammer. Independent characters. And yeah, they're the top 3. Okay. So, is it us?
I don't know.
Is it Fluffenhammer?
I hope it's not us, because I haven't prepared a speech.
Or is it independent characters?
Interesting. Clash of the Titans.
That's more Clash of Tysons. The company that makes TVs. Should I give you the answer?
Yeah, go on.
It was Fluffenhammer.
Fluffenhammer. Okay.
Fluffenhammer's a strange one, because everybody who said Fluffenhammer also had the added part of it of, that's who got me back in.
Right, that's fascinating.
It is. And what's really strange is I'm not a million miles away from that, because when I was looking to get back in to see what was going on, Fluffenhammer was the podcast that I found and started listening to, and they were very, very good. And it's not like Fluffenhammer nudged it out either. I mean, we got a decent amount of votes, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
Fluffenhammer's been going for about 9 years at this point. So,
so it's well established. It's like well established and presumably much loved. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great show. At the moment, they're on a strange sort of one show every month or every 2 months.
Yes, they're on sort of hiatus, aren't they, at the moment?
Which is a shame, but I totally understand why. Real life is...
Oh, God,
real life is like
absolutely.
that. But they are... There's something very real about them. There's no playing themselves up at any point. They're
proper hobbyists.
Yeah.
And they want to talk about the hobby. They want to, genuinely inform people about the hobby. It's not like all of this sort of overproduced sort of, music and nonsense. Yeah. It's just it's a decent show. It's just a decent, well-produced show.
Without pulling down anything that anyone's ever done, there's a lot of 40k podcasts out there, which I've listened to one episode and I've just gone, not for me.
No, not for me.
Not for me. They either go too far one way or too far the other.
There is a massive tendency, I find, for the Games Workshop-based podcast to be far too much crunch.
Mm-hmm.
They're far too much about the rules. They're far too much about discussing the minutiae of the what you can do with this codex or this battle tome, which is boring. I mean, it's just boring unless you're specifically looking for something, or the host is incredibly charismatic. Then you're not going to get much entertainment value out of it.
which is a shame. But if you're like a tournament player and that's the type of thing you're into, I can certainly see why you'd get into it. Myself, as is very obvious from the show that me and George do, we are fluff people. We love fluff. We love playing the games. But
the games are great.
Yeah.
Games are great, don't get me wrong, but I'm interested in the human side of it and the mythological side of it. I like to hear people talk about why they enjoy this,
yes.
and where they came into it. You know, what influence it's had on them. That's what I really like to hear, and what they're creating as a result. That's what I find the most inspiring, the most engaging, and those stories are great. I really, really love to hear that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree.
It is a bit of a rarity, though.
It is. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens this year. So yeah, it's Fluffenhammer takes the podcast award.
Well done.
Right.
Bitter applause. It's like being at the Oscars, this, isn't it? And, you know, there's a whole sort of Joan Crawford, Betty Davis thing going on here.
I have a knife. Right, let's see, what have we got next? Should we stick with some personalities or should we stick with media?
Let's go for personalities next.
Alright then, so let's hit personality of the year. Personality of the year. It's like Mel Gibson's getting this one out. Personality of the year. So,
Sylvester Stallone.
So, personality of the year. The nominations are Duncan, Lord of the Two Thin Coats, bless my pains. Yeah. Uncle Atom, Typhus.
Why not? Why not? You know, he's a bit of a miserable bugger, isn't he? Though Typhus.
Oh yeah, he is. But he does have a strong personality, I guess.
There's no doubt in that. Yeah. He is. Oh, he's a very, very strong individual. But even so, not sure you'd want to be in a room with him.
Horace, 5 minutes before it all went wrong.
Oh, that's very mean. That's kind of mean, that one. I like it, though.
I'm actually crying after reading that one out.
I think that's brilliant. I love that one.
It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful nomination.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, God. Oh, sorry, right. So yeah, Horace, 5 minutes before it all went wrong. That bloke with the face who keeps talking about AOS.
As opposed to the people without faces that keep talking about AOS, presumably.
Apparently so, yeah.
Fair enough.
Dude that took over Games Workshop.
I'd put him myself. Yeah. I would be well behind him.
It's the fact that nobody gave his name. They all just gave
his name. They're just the guy, the savior,
the
anonymous savior.
There's just permutations of it, and the Bard, which made me very happy.
Oh, the Bard! Oh, I'd love it if he won, but I think Duncan might win this one.
Yeah. I mean, the Bard hasn't really done much Warhammer base this year. The only thing I think he's done is the Silver Tower video, which is a massive shame.
Although I would highly recommend all of his videos, quite frankly, because he's very entertaining.
Oh, the Hero Quest video is one of the greatest things on YouTube.
It's legendarily brilliant. It really is. Just the comic timing is awesome in that video, and it's so simple.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing complex in it at all. It's just brilliantly put together.
As much as the more Hero Quest joke is just a thing of absolute beauty.
It's just the repetition as well.
He just keeps bringing out another copy.
The best thing about Hero Quest is the board.
The two things that always get me in that video is the best thing about Hero Quest is the Barbarian. And he talks about how good the Barbarian is. It's like, right, now those scrubs have gone. The best thing about Hero Quest is the dwarf. That and the genius is, oh no, Jehovah's Witnesses, and he just puts a little Hero Quest door down.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's very good.
Oh, yeah.
He's got brilliant comic timing. He really does. So
the man is amazing. He is
very pleased he was nominated. But it's Duncan. It's got to be Duncan.
It's Duncan, yes, it is.
Yeah,
Duncan took it. Duncan took it.
I mean, he's become a meme, for God's sake.
He's
become, like, legendary.
He has. And not only has he become legendary, he's embraced it with such good humour.
Yeah.
He comes across as a guy who doesn't take it seriously, and he just loves what he's doing.
He's just having fun with it, yeah. And he's actually very much better in front of the camera than you ever would have imagined, isn't he? He's actually very, very good. He's got a sort of natural gift for it.
Yeah, he's very witty, very clever, and it's just really personable and nice and pleasant.
As time is going on, they're becoming much more elaborate in their videos as well, and in the naughty way, they're kind of teasing fans, which I love. I'm sure I have no doubt there's going to be loads of stuff very soon teasing all of the Nagash stuff, all of the, the Thousand Suns, all of that. I've no doubt.
No, without a moment. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Right then, so moving on to the next one. Best video game adaptation, including mobile games.
Gonna have to help me out here, because I don't really play the video games anymore, the Warhammer-based video games. There is a tendency for them to be a bit naff.
There is.
So I know was there a Shadespire game?
Not to my knowledge. I
know there was the Space Hulk, wasn't there? There was the Space Hulk game, and some others that I can't remember.
Right, this one has got the biggest list of nominations that you've ever seen. Are you ready for this?
Go on then. So they must have included video games from beyond 2017 then, presumably.
Just get ready.
Okay, go on then.
Okay, so you might notice there's a theme that runs here.
No.
Okay. Total War 2, Warhammer.
Okay.
So, with that list of nominations that's been done...
What?
Oh, sorry, did you want me to continue? Alright then, I'll continue. Let's have some more nominations.
Brilliant. So, well, that's clear enough, isn't it?
Don't get me wrong, there are no other nominations here. Those are the nominations being Dawn of War.
So, yeah.
Not Dawn of War 3.
No, just the original one,
The original Dawn of War, yeah.
So back from when PC gaming was actually a thing.
Yeah. Final Liberation got more votes than I thought were going to be necessary.
Jesus God, Final Liberation! Like the PS1 days.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Chaos Gate got a couple of them.
Jesus God.
Shadow of the Horned Rat did alright for itself.
Are they going to start nominating like the Amiga version of Space Hulk?
Oh, you're close.
No, really?
Hero Quest got a fair few as well.
The Amiga Hero Quest?
Yeah, the Amiga version of Hero Quest got a couple.
You guys are showing your age. You really are. I mean, this was like floppy disk days.
Oh, yeah.
This was insert disc 3 if you want to see the game over screen.
Yeah. I mean, Commander Keen got a vote as well.
Fair enough.
As did the 2015 Doom. So
I go for that because that is awesome.
It is. It's really, really cool.
It's actually it's nothing to do with Games Workshop whatsoever, but it's actually fantastic.
My personal favourite batshit nomination was Wolfenstein 2. You get to kick Hitler to death.
Okay, yeah, I understand the logic.
Yeah.
I understand the logic. Not Games Workshop, unfortunately, but fair enough.
So as I say, the actual nomination that we could use is Total War Warhammer 2.
So, yeah.
I'm tempted to give it to Final Liberation, to be honest with you.
I'm very tempted myself, actually, because that is actually not a bad RTS. It's actually okay.
It's very hard to play nowadays because it runs at, I think it's 8.4 speed or something like that. It just...
It just grinds along.
No, it goes too fast.
It goes too fast, right, okay.
For some reason, the game just shoots along and you can't slow it down. So you try to click on something and it clicks on it 7 times. It's ridiculous.
Awesome.
So you just get like, yes, Commissioner, yes, Commissioner, yes, Commissioner, yes, Commissioner, yes, Commissioner. I will do it.
Brilliant. Well done, guys. Well done.
So, well done, Final sorry. My apologies. Well done, Total War Warhammer 2. Oh, Total War Warhammer,
Doom.
And Doom,
for just being such an excellent video game, it gets mentioned where it has no place being.
I'd forgotten Chaos Gate existed.
Me too, I have to admit. Mind you, there are more Games Workshop video games out there than you would ever imagine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised but nobody mentioned things like Vermintide. I know it's more than a year old at this point. I think it's about 2 years old. But, I mean, that was a really good game. And it got the feel of the old world down perfectly. But, yeah, odd. Very odd. But there we go.
But gave us a lot.
Chaos Gate. Right, okay. So, now we're getting into the big ones then. So, standout event.
This is going to be packed. There's loads of stuff.
Now, when we do this again next year, I think I'm going to have to split this out a little bit because this got a little bit odd. Because not in the way you're thinking, unfortunately. Because different people took different ideas of what a standout event was going to be.
Okay.
So, for example, the nominations are 8th edition build-up and launch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mortarion.
Yeah.
All right. 8th edition launch again. Where's it gone? I've just accidentally got rid of my notes. That's not good.
Well, I mean, let's just go for 8th edition.
Yeah.
It's gonna win. So
trailer videos.
That's an odd one.
Yeah.
But I kind of get it. I mean, they are unique. They're sort of new, and they are interesting. They're a very nice and welcome addition.
Yeah. Yep. And then finally, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. My PC has decided to slow right down, so this note won't do the thing it wants it to do. There we go. And Warhammer Age of Sigmar Open Day.
That's 8th edition.
Yeah.
It's 8th edition. 8th edition's going to win that.
Is it?
It's such the biggest. It is the biggest thing. It's got to win it.
Some batshit. Good God. Some batshit. Duncan being on Pornhub.
What?
I don't think that's true.
I'm kind of fascinated though.
Yeah, is he taking off his too thin coats?
I am absolutely fascinated if that is true.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me because didn't somebody put a load of Donald Trump videos up on Pornhub with
they did
blonde? What was it? Blonde shags millions or something.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't remember. So that's been on there. Thankwall's dancing. That's in there.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a weird one. This is a very, very weird one. Grey Knight's Codex and how well it burns.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. The end times that didn't happen, please, please, please. They didn't happen, please.
Okay.
And my personal favourite from the batshit, it's all Techless's fault.
I like that one. I like that one. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's 8th ed.
It is 8th ed.
Of course it's 8th
the
ed.
lead up to 8th ed. Now, by the lead up, basically it means everything that happens from Cadia onwards up till 8th edition getting released. Which was an event.
Absolutely, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you could even go further back than that. I mean, really, around the Fenris stuff, the War for Fenris, that's when it really began.
Yeah.
So it's huge. It's been enormous, and that impetus has just carried on throughout the year. It's just, I mean, it has been the year of 40k.
It really has. Yeah, I mean, 40k has just hammered it every single month. It's been impressive to watch.
It's been brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I've been excited every single month to see what's coming out, to see what they're doing, to see what's going to be going on. I've been glued to Warhammer TV, watching, because they've been so candid as well. It's not like before where they're remaining very tight-lipped and trying to control all the rumours. Now they just let it out there. They just have people talking about the new releases and in great detail. It's been very, very, very good indeed.
Yes. I do have to point out, by the way, thank you to all the people who voted for me for Personality of the Year. All those people. Yeah. Thanks, Stu.
All of one of you, yes.
Right then, shall we get into some publications?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so shall we go for the best 40k codex?
Oh, that's going to be very difficult because it depends on what you like. they're all so well balanced now.
Yeah.
For me, it would be the Chaos Space Marine one.
This is actually tighter than you'd think.
Yeah?
Yeah. Right, so the nominations are Space Marine Codex.
Yep.
Death Guard.
Death Guard, I think, might pip it, actually, because it's just such a joyous thing to read.
Codex Space Marines.
Uh-huh.
I've put Codex Space Marines in twice. That does not mean it wins. Tyranids.
Yep, Tyranids is a good one.
And so that's the four with the most votes. So Tyranids, Codex Space Marines, Death Guard, or Codex Chaos Space Marines.
I would think it would be between. I mean, for me, it would be between Death Guard and Chaos Space Marines, but I think the Death Guard might pip it.
That's interesting. Now, what makes you think the Death Guard's going to pip it?
Just because it's such an interesting codex. It's the first time that we've had a Chaos Legion explored in that detail, and it introduces so much new stuff, such that it's exciting to read. It's a fun book to have in your hand.
Shall I announce this?
And also,
Mortarion. And Mortarion.
Yeah.
Would you like to know some of the batshit nominations?
Go on then.
There's only two.
All right, go on
and
then.
I bet you can guess what these are going to be.
Okay.
Squats.
Ah!
Sisters of Battle, question mark, yes.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Of the two, the most batshit is the squats, because that's not going to happen. But the Sisters of Battle, I think they'll turn up. They'll turn up eventually.
I think both might actually turn up, to be honest with you. But
yeah, that would be amazing if the squats turned up again.
Also, there was one for Codex Zo. No, I don't mean that at all. Moving on. Right, so, in reverse order, Codex Space Marines at number 4.
Yeah, I can sort of understand that.
Codex Tyranids at number 3.
Yep.
Codex Chaos Space Marines.
Yep.
At number 2. Codex Squats. Codex Death Guard at number 1. So
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And it just pipped it. There is nothing in between those four.
If the Chaos Space Marines had had a whole model release with it, I think that would have won.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think that's what pipped it for the Death Guard, is the fact that they've got an entire range now. An entire new range, including the Primarch, you know?
Yeah, and that's...
well deserved.
It's impressive.
Well deserved.
It's impressive that many people kind of got together to get those votes together, because, as I say, there is nothing in between those.
Yeah.
The difference between 1 and 4 is nout.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can well imagine. They're both fantastic codices. They really are. Yeah. On all levels. They're brilliant to read. There's loads of new fluff in them. They're gorgeous books. And they're very, very, very good army lists.
Yes, they really are. So, should we move on then to the Best Age of Sigmar Battle Tome?
Interesting. I think I know what might win this, but...
okay, all right. What's your feeling?
It's the Caradron Overlords would be my guess.
God damn it. Okay. Oh, shit, you should have said that.
Yeah.
Right, so the nominations are Fire Slayers.
No.
No, because that's actually a couple of years old.
Yeah, that ain't gonna...
No, but it actually got quite a lot of... quite a lot of votes for some odd reason.
Okay.
Caradron Overlords. Come on. The General's Handbook.
Yeah.
Not really a battle tome, but yeah, okay.
No, but I can sort of see how that fits.
Blight War.
Oh, yeah.
Not really a battle tome, but once again.
It's a campaign book, but I can see how that might have pipped it.
Yep. And Zeech.
The Disciples of Zeech, were they last year?
That was this year.
I was going to say, wasn't that the year before?
No, they came out in January, because January was Century.
Oh, right, yes, of course. Well, it would be between the Kharadron Overlords and the Disciples of Zeech, but I think the Overlords might pip it, simply because they had such a massive release, and it was such a difference.
Yeah.
Such a difference from anything that had gone before, all those wonderful airships and whatnot. Yeah, I think the Kharadron Overlords.
What surprised me was how little people voted for either the Blades of Khorne or for the new Stormcast book.
I think the problem there is that those armies were basically already released. Yeah. They were just really bringing them into the current format, so they weren't quite as exciting as the Disciples of Zeech, or certainly not as the Kharadron Overlords, and also not massive departures from what had gone before.
No, but there was a lot more background put into it, which I thought was quite nice. So let's do this in reverse order. Right, because... Oh, by the way, just so you know, the batshit nominations are Codex Fimir, Codex Fimarak, and Codex One-Eyed Rape Lizard.
I'd have gone for the last myself.
Yeah. So,
if I ever saw that on a Games Workshop shelf, I'd buy it immediately.
It's interesting that that's what the batshits were. There was a Warhammer Armies Judge Dredd as well, but... I just want you to know, everybody out there, I love you all. You're amazing. Right, so in reverse order. Now, we're going to knock Fire Slayers out because even though it did get a lot of votes, it is from 2016.
Yeah, so disqualified.
Yeah, in reverse order, General's Handbook 2 at number 3. The Disciples of Zench at number 2. And the Kharadron Overlords at number 1.
Of course.
And... oddly enough, the difference between 1 and 2 is quite far.
Yeah?
Yeah. I thought it would have been closer, but it's really not.
Yeah, I would have thought so too.
Between the General's Handbook and Disciples of Zench, there isn't much between it. I checked it this morning just to see if it shifted, and it hadn't, but it was pretty damn close. However, between Zench and the Kharadron Overlords, there's a little bit of a distance. Yeah, about 8%, I think it was. 8% of votes difference. It was
reasonably significant then. Reasonably significant. I mean, maybe it's because Zeech is a very, 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 very specific force. You know?
I think so. Yeah.
You're either going to like them and collect them, or you're not. It's the nature, in many respects, of the god-specific cult forces. You know, you're either going to like them or not.
Yeah, completely.
Whereas the Kharadron Overlords have got more a sort of universal appeal, I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. But because they're so different to anything that's come before, a lot of people have jumped onto it just to see what it is.
Yeah, to see what it's like and how it functions, out of curiosity.
Right then, shall we move on to some miniatures? Actually, no, we'll stay with publications. Best Black Library release.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I mean, this is going to be very, very subjective. Isn't it? Very subjective indeed. It depends on what you like. For me, probably Fulgrim, the Primarchs series.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Fulgrim, and I really enjoyed Lorgar as well. Although I also very much enjoyed, they're certainly not like the best books from the Black Library, but they are lots of fun. The Lucius the Eternal book and the Primogenitor. I liked both of them.
Well, I think you're going to like this then. So the nominations are Primogenitor.
Oh, excellent! I didn't think that would make it.
The Devastation of Baal.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I don't know if I think some of these might not have come out this year, but we're just gonna burn ahead with it.
Yeah.
City of Secrets, which makes me very happy to see.
I was going to say, it's one of your personal favourites, isn't it?
It really is. The reprint of the Necromunda comics.
Oh yeah, I never factored that one.
Yeah, I didn't think of that either. The reprint of Malice Darkblade, which I don't think is out yet.
I was going to say that hasn't been released yet, I don't think.
No, it hasn't been. The War Master by Dan Abnett.
Oh, God, yeah, I haven't read that one.
Lorgar.
I have not read that. Lorgar, of course, yes.
And I was going to say something entirely different there. And Hammerhal. Hammerhal. Good God, get the words out. And Hammerhal and Other Collected Stories.
Yeah. So, interesting. Interesting selection there.
It is. Out of all of them, then, what's your thoughts?
I think in terms of like how beautiful the actual release is, Lorgar is my personal favorite out of that lot. I don't know what's going to win though.
No,
I'm surprised by a lot of those entries.
Yeah, they're not what I'd expect, to be honest with you. It really wasn't.
No.
So, if I said to you that Lorgar came in at number 3...
Okay, now I'm completely baffled. I don't know. I have no idea.
What do you think? No idea for number 2?
No idea. No, that's thrown me completely. I would have thought Lorgar would be number 1.
Mm-hmm. It's odd. It's very odd. Yeah, it's this entire thing, I think, went a little bit off the wall and off the rails because Hammer Howl came in at number 2.
That's a massive surprise.
It is.
That's a massive surprise.
I think it came in at number 2 because a lot of people got it for Christmas. In all honesty.
Yeah,
and then number 1, for some odd reason, is the Necromunda reprints.
I kind of understand that because there is a lot of nostalgia bound up in those comics. People remember reading them from when they were like teenagers or when they were younger gamers, so I can kind of get behind that.
Some of the batshit nominations were Inferno.
Fair enough.
Warhammer Monthly Annual 2017.
If only, yeah. If only.
And Felix and Gotrek go shopping.
Brilliant. Morrison's Cashier Slayer.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's a strange one, this one. It really is. Because
It's an odd one. I wouldn't have expected half of them to be nominated.
The problem with this one, oddly enough, is that not many people nominated for it.
Oh,
so this has got the lowest amount of votes out of any of these categories.
Fascinating. Maybe a slow year for the Black Library.
Maybe. I think maybe it's one that we have to kind of think about when we do this again next year.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because, I mean, if it was this year, it'd probably be easier because they are winding it up, aren't they? There's going to be some very big books released very, very, very soon. It's certainly in the Horus Heresy series. So those will feature quite dramatically, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a lot of stuff that came out to come along with releases this year. I mean, the Gene Stealer Cult book came out. I think it actually came out in December of last year, to be honest with you. But, that'll be close enough. And that got quite a decent review. Things like Overlords of the Iron Dragon. That's a really good book. I'm surprised I didn't get a mention. There's all this stuff that came out for Cadia, all the different books for that. And then,
actually, now that you mention it, to coincide with one of the biggest events in the 40k canon. Yeah,
it's odd that these ones didn't get pushed forward, but as I say, there wasn't a huge amount of nominations for this one. Not many people voted on it. Don't know why.
I'm very happy Primogenitor was in there though, because it's fun. It's not like the best written book, but it's a lot of fun, and it really does do a great deal for Fabius Bile as a character.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet, but it is on my to-do list.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's well worth reading. I'm reading the sequel at the moment, which is very surprising. There's stuff in there where you're like, what?
Yeah.
What? Really?
Yeah. So I hear that it's very much a book where every now and again you have to put it down just to try and process the concept that's been handed to you.
Yeah, there was one thing in particular where I was like, okay, fine. I don't know what this means, but fine, you know?
Shall we move on? Because
we've
got a couple more of these to do, and we are starting to get to the end now. There's only 3 more to go.
Okie dokie.
And one of those is the big one. So, speaking of big, let's get the best big mini.
Mortarion. it's
straight in there.
It's just there's no contest. It's Mortarion.
Right. So the nominations are.
There aren't any other. There are no other nominations. It's Mortarion.
Okay. All right. The nominations are Mortarion.
Yeah. Mortarion. And Mortarion.
Bellius Kroll. or Belias Call, how you pronounce it?
Belisarius, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
I like him, actually.
Yeah.
I do like him a lot. But was he 2017?
I think he was last year. I think he was 2016.
Was he? I was going to say he was the year before, wasn't he?
He is, yeah. He is.
Yeah, so he I love him. I think he's really gorgeous, but he's kind of disqualified.
He's knocked out. The Myphitic Blight Hauler.
Okay. It is a nice little mini. It's very cute.
It is.
It's very sweet. Yeah. It's like a little trundly beetle.
Yeah. Slimux.
Oh, okay. I can definitely see Horticultus Slimux taking this one. Because he's lots of fun. He's a very different, completely different dynamic to Mortarion. Completely different dynamic. Yeah. But I can see him being very popular. And
the Great Unclean One.
Great Unclean One doesn't count, because that's this year.
It is, and it's not out yet.
It's out. Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, that mini
is... it's beautiful.
It's absolutely astounding. I mean, I love all of the new Greater Demon molds. I think that they're just beautiful, but that one knocked me on my arse.
Yeah,
it really did. It's just stunning. It's the best Great Unclean one there has ever been.
And big flying boats.
The Corruption Overlord boats. Yeah, I can sort of. They might take it, actually. Yeah. They might take it, but I think it's going to be Mortarion.
You think it's going to be? Do you think, or do you hope?
Actually, now I don't mind. I like all of those so much. Yeah. I would be very happy if it's Horticultus Slimux, actually. But I got a funny feeling it's going to be Mortarion.
Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Would you like to know some of the batshit nominations before we unveil?
On the Clown Nagash, was he in there?
Oh, are you reading this?
I'm not, but
Nagash with 3 times the size of head.
Yes, there he is.
The Emperor with added wounds.
I'd buy that.
Yeah. That dragon at the centre of the universe.
Great. That's fantastic, because it is literally impossible to create a miniature of. Literally impossible.
And Ogre cheerleaders for Blood Bowl.
That would make me smile massively if that one.
So, right, let's see then. In reverse order. Let's get this done in reverse order. Yep. So, in the various different ways that it was mentioned, the boats for the Caradron Overlords at number 3.
Surprising.
Slimux at number 2.
So Mortarion at number 1.
Mortarion at number 1, yeah.
What a surprise. Yeah. I mean, if there's a Primarch released, then odds on they're going to be the favourite. Yeah. Odds on. I mean, ironically, the weakest of the Primarchs in terms of their miniature at the moment is Guilliman.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Wrong, I like it. I think it's a very decent miniature indeed, but it's the weakest in terms of conception. I was having a conversation on the Facebook Fluffenhammer page with Rowan Fortune about the Mortarion miniature, and he was talking about how it's not just a miniature, it's like a diorama. It captures so much about that character.
Totally.
He looks weighted down. Everything about him is like, how Magnus is sort of defiant and dynamic. It's as, he has that sort of arrogant stance. It's as though he's defying his damnation still. Mortarion is totally enslaved to it. He's got all of these chains and ornamentations weighing him down. Even the way he carries Silence, his scythe, is in this weighted, laborious way. It's he is like despair made manifest. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a very, very beautiful way of evoking something about the miniature's character. And Mortarion does that gorgeously. He is stunning.
He is. He really is. It's the evolution of how to make a miniature. Something happened when they started designing this, and it pushed it up a little bit further. It's not to say that stuff that's been coming out hasn't been beautiful. It really has been. But something happened in the design process. Because you look at the stuff that's coming out from Malign Portents, that Night Goblin Shaman is beautiful.
They're telling stories with the miniatures. They're not just like representations. It's not like having like a counter on a battlefield to represent something. They're like little dioramas now. And Mortarion is probably, at the moment, he is the epitome of that.
He really is. He really is.
It's the high. At the moment, he's the high mucus mark.
Oh God.
He really is. But we shall see, because we've still got Angron and Fulgrim to go.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Fulgrim's going to look like.
Oh my god! I mean, aesthetically, the two Primarchs that appeal to me the most are Magnus the Red, who is. I got him for Christmas, by the way. He is one of the most stunning miniatures they've ever released. He is beautiful. And Fulgrim. Fulgrim just does it for me on a million levels. I think he is absolutely beautiful. And if they can capture the same degree of ethos, of feeling about him as they did Mortarion, then he will be just sublime.
Yeah.
He's got to be beautiful. That's the thing with Fulgrim. He's got to be simultaneously demonic and disturbing and absolutely beautiful, which they couldn't do before. They didn't have the technology or the means of doing it. They can now. They can now, because Magnus has that quality. Magnus is simultaneously demonic and quite beautiful as well.
It's the expression on his face that always gets me, and it's the thing that I always go back to when I'm looking at that mini. There is one. It's utter contempt.
Yeah.
I've never seen that level of emotion on. I mean, it helps the fact that the thing is massive.
Yes, of course. It's much easier to sculpt like emotion, isn't it? You know, but yeah, he looks, the expression on that particular face, he looks defiant and arrogant and contemptuous. It captures so much about the guy, and it's emphasized by everything. His stance, like the elaboration of his armor, the way he's holding that hand out. He looks, unlike Mortarion, who looks resigned. He's resigned to his fate completely. Magnus is still defiant of it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it's claimed him completely, he is still defiant, and that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, it is. The Demon Primarchs so far have been absolutely astounding.
Well, you know what? Before they released Magnus the Red, I would have said I don't want them to do it. I'd have said it's impossible to capture the feeling of them properly in a miniature. Actually, no, they've done it.
Yeah.
They've actually done it.
They've done it, and done it very, very well. It's been impressive.
Yeah.
Shall we get going? Because we've got 2 more to go. And next up is the best single mini.
Okay. Best single mini. That's actually very, very hard. There's been some really lovely stuff. There really has, for so many different lines, you know? I can only speak personally. For me, my favourite is the Foul Blight Spawn from the Death Guard.
Yeah.
And that is because he's got a crank in his belly. That's it. It's nothing else. It's the fact that he has crank in his belly. Oh, and also the fact that his helmet is designed to look like an old plague doctor's mask.
Yeah.
I love it. I love everything. In fact, most of the Death Guard character miniatures that came out, there's so much character in them. There's so much character. That, again, like little dioramas, they're all doing stuff. They're not just sort of like posing with their bolters. They're all doing stuff. You've got the Tallyman who's scribbling on his parchment. You've got the Foul Blight Spawn who's got the crank churning in his belly with the hose in his hand and the little Nurgling capering by him. They're gorgeous. They are absolutely flat out gorgeous. What are they called? The sorcerers of the Death Guard. The one that has sort of like the billowing gases coming from his hand.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Those are just beautiful. Just beautiful. Picking out one is actually really hard.
This is why it's not our job, and we put it down to democracy to choose.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Good idea.
I do think that next year, though, the Sloppity Bile Piper will be in the top 3, because that thing's amazing.
Right up there.
Yeah.
Right, Sloppity Bile Piper is, first of all, the name alone.
It brings me so much joy.
Name alone is absolutely wonderful. The fact that he is also a stunning miniature, it just makes me happy on so many levels.
Yeah. Right, should we get the nominations?
Yep, go on then.
Typhus.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people didn't like Typhus.
No.
A lot of people didn't like Typhus because they said he was too dynamic for a Death Guard miniature, which I can kind of understand, but actually I really liked him. I think he's a beautiful beautiful.
He seems to have found his fans, because he's doing all right here.
Good.
The Plague Marine with the Nurgling in the helmet.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah. Of course.
The good grief. Malignant,
I think you're going for there.
The Malignant Plague Caster.
The Malignant Plague Caster who's blowing the emissions of Nurgle's garden from his hand. That's a stunning miniature.
It really is. Slambo.
Ah! Of course. Brilliant. Brilliant.
And weirdly enough, Slimarbo.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I can actually see Sly taking it. I can actually
How much
see
money do you want to put on that?
All of those entries are actually really strong. They're actually really strong.
My apologies. There's also the Arcanaut Admiral. I forgot to add that one in.
I don't think that one's going to be it, but I'm going to go for Slimarbo.
Slimarbo.
Yeah.
So if I gave you number 2 first, okay, all right. So number 2 is Typhus.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Does that change anything?
Nope.
No. Because you know what? You bang on the money. It's Slimarbo.
Doing rather well at this. I should have gone and put bets on, shouldn't I?
The thing is, though, Slimarbo didn't win by a giant jump forward. And up until the other day, it was actually... Oh, not the other day. It was about 2 weeks ago, weirdly enough, that the Malignant Plaguecaster was actually winning.
Right, okay. I mean, that's another odd one, actually, because people didn't like that when it first came out. I think it's because it was such a dramatic shift away from what we'd got before. But since then, it's become such a part of the whole Death Guard line.
I think that's what's happened. I think that as the Death Guard line has expanded outwards and people have seen what the entire thing looks like, people have got used to it and accepted it and then grown to love it.
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
It's very odd.
And I totally understand because it's beautiful. It's dynamic. It's got loads of detail all over. I mean, it's actually quite difficult to paint because the amount of detail that's crammed into the thing.
Yeah, my eyes are not as good as they used to be. My hands are nowhere near as steady. So
it's a beaut.
It's a problem. It's a trap. Oh, sorry. Right. So next up then, Army of the Year.
Oh, that's a. Is it a tricky one though? Is it a tricky one? Because I'm sensing a theme throughout a lot of these answers. There's a very, very, very pestilential theme running throughout, shall we say.
Do you know what surprises me?
What's that?
Primus Space Marines haven't had a look in.
No, Primaris Space. But you know what the problem with them is? I mean, I think they're really interesting. They're very interesting, is that they're not far enough away.
No, I totally agree.
Aesthetically anyway, they're not far enough away. They are just an addition to the existing Space Marines. Yeah. Whereas things like, for example, the Death Guard, who I think are going to take this, they've removed them so completely and given them their own such a distinct aesthetic. You see the silhouettes of a Death Guard miniature, and you know what it is.
Yeah, totally.
You know what it is immediately.
Totally. I didn't do the batshits for Best Single Mini. My apologies.
Oh God, what are the batshits?
Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay, fair enough.
The biggest squiggly beast you've ever did squiggle.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. And my personal favourite, the arm of the Emperor. And then in comments, in brackets, it just says, rage intensifies.
That's a very good entry. Well done, whoever wrote that.
Also, oiled up kitten. Which I'm fairly sure is a reference to if the Emperor had a text-to-speech rather than an actual kitten that's been oiled up. But anyhow.
Fair enough.
So, right, Army of the Year. So,
Death Guard.
Just jumping straight in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Grey Knights, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
No, I'm afraid not.
That dog won't hunt, I'm afraid.
The Sepulturan Guard from Shadespire.
I like I like the willing and the idea, but too niche, I think. Yep. Too niche.
Okay. I've actually combined all of the nominations into this list. The Caradron Overlords.
Possibly. Possibly.
Death Guard.
Death Guard, obviously.
Sorry. Where's my death?
So the absence of death, as opposed to,
House Escher?
Too niche.
Too niche, you think?
Too niche, I think, yeah.
The Disciples of Zench?
I love the Disciples of Zeech, but I think they're going to be massively, massively, massively drowned out by the Death Guard.
One that turned up just yesterday. Rob Wheeler's Gnome Army.
I would love for there to be an army of gnomes in AOS, and I would love for them all to have big red hats.
Have you seen Rob Wheeler's Gnome Army?
I haven't,
Right.
no.
It's a guy on Oldhammer, and he's taken a load of the original Night Goblins, sculpted little moustaches and beards, and painted them in human flesh colours. And he's built a gnome army, and it's amazing.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I've been watching it for a while, and I was so happy to see Rob Wheeler get a mention for his gnome army, because it really is a thing of absolute beauty. Disciples of Zench? Yeah, sorry, I said that one, yeah. I've lost my place. There we go. Space Marines?
Bit vanilla. I think they're a bit vanilla.
Dark Angels?
I love the Dark Angels, don't get me wrong, they're a very good release, but I don't think they have the universal appeal.
Yeah, okay. Chaos Space Marines? No faction?
Chaos Space Marines, awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, awesome, but the thing that's hamstringing the Chaos Space Marines is their miniatures range at the minute.
Yeah, it is. Completely and utterly.
When they get a full miniatures range release, then they'll compete.
We're a long way off finishing the nominations.
Oh, God.
Iron Jaws?
Was that this year?
It wasn't.
I was going to say, that's a bit of a cheat, that one.
The Lizard Men, proper Lizard Men, and of course my favourite, Reptile Not Ghosts.
Reptile Not Ghosts.
Yeah, the word Seraphon does not appear at any point in this list. It's
awesome. Death Guard.
Yeah. Napoleonic Frogs. I heard that. I've just listened to that episode.
Napoleonic Frogs. Awesome.
Apparently we talked about how the slam looked like Napoleonic Frogs originally.
Oh, man. That's brilliant.
Tree People.
Tree People. Are we talking like wood elves, or are we talking environmentalists?
I don't know. It just
some weird mismatch
it just
of the two.
Says Tree People.
Fair enough, I suppose.
Oh dear. And finally, the right fist of Duncan, of he who has two thin coats.
Death Guard.
Oh, and one of my favourite batshit combat cards.
Brilliant. I'd love for someone to bring actually an army of combat cards to an actual game of AOS or Warhammer. Would be great.
I just put it onto those little those stands that you used to get with was it the original Necromunda that you could put like cardboard things on?
Yeah. In fact, the second edition 40k had that. There was a card with Orc Dreadnought.
There was, yes. Hi, that would work better actually. Yeah. I like that. Okay, so Death Guard. All right. So if I give you the top three in reverse order.
Yep.
All right. Space Marines at number 3.
Even that surprises me. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it surprised me as well. Caradron Overlords number 2.
Yep. Death Guard.
Death Guard at number 1. Yes.
Of course. Yes, I'm very good at gauging the community out there, obviously.
You're far too good at this. I think next year I'm going to actually put like a gag order on you, so you're not allowed to.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea, I think.
Right then. So we're on to the final category, which is Best Games Workshop Release of 2017.
God, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, it's not like that there's going to be a winner that just far and away takes it.
No, there's so much good stuff. I mean, and lots of big stuff as well. I mean, I would expect 8th edition 40k to be the big one, to be the one that just mows down all comers.
Shall we get to the nominations?
Go on.
Okay. Blight War.
Yeah, I like Blight War fine. It's very niche though.
Shadespire.
Shadespire again. Fine.
Necromunda.
Niche. Yeah, Necromunda might. 'Cause, I mean, Necromunda's got a lot of fans behind it. It's got a lot of nostalgia behind it.
Sold really, really well as well.
Yeah, by all accounts.
Regimental Standard, the RPG.
I wish.
Doom Wheel.
Okay.
Which is a Android game about Skaven Doom Wheels. I had to look it up. It looks terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
To do General's Handbook 2. Battle Tome Carriage Run Overlords.
Okay, yeah.
Codex Death Guard.
That could do it.
40k 8th edition.
I think that might be it.
Combat cards.
That would make me laugh if that was it.
John Blanche's cards.
I like them fine, you know.
Yeah. Plastic Sisters of Battle.
Yeah. I think someone that, may have been dreaming there.
Yeah.
Although, wait, watch this space.
Optimus Prime.
Well, with the obsession with bigatures.
Yeah, completely.
Recently,
Completely, yeah. And then finally, Sly Marbo.
Sly Marbo might do it. Actually might be able to do it.
Yeah.
I would put that down to 3. Sly Marbo, Death Guard, 8th edition, 40k.
Really?
And I think 8th edition might. Might.
Shall I give you the top 3 in reverse order? And let's see where it stands. At number 3, Sly Marbo.
Yeah.
What does that do for number 1 and number 2? Does that change anything for you?
Not really.
Okay. Number 2, Blight War.
Now that's a surprise. Yeah. I mean, I liked Blight War, and I'm very happy, actually, that that's up there. Very happy indeed.
Mostly, people seem to have voted for Blight War for Slimex.
But I imagine, it's just because of Horticultus, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just because of Horticultus, because he is so cool.
Yeah. And at number 1, Plastic Sisters... No, it's not. It couldn't really be anything else. In 2017, it is Warhammer 40k 8th edition.
What else was it going to be?
Yeah, and
holy
crap, did it storm it.
Of course it did.
87% of the votes were 40k.
Who's surprised? Anyone out there?
No.
Really? Of course you're not.
No.
Of course you're not.
No.
You would have to be insane. It is what's dominated. It's been everywhere. It's pervaded. All the best releases have been in it too. You know, it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it absolutely stormed it. Now, I'm going to say this. There was a little bit of fudging in the way that I had to put these votes together, because stuff like Blight War had the Horticulus being mentioned by name, but not the box set. So I threw those votes into Blight War. So just to be completely transparent on that, because I thought
that's fair enough. I mean, he is fundamentally part of Blight War, isn't he? So it's fine.
A few people voted for Talon Blackhand and her her collection of Stormcast as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
People
I mean,
really want female Stormcast.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
It makes sense to have lots of different types of Stormcast, not just the big, bulky guys in armor. It makes sense to have, Stormcast from all sorts of species.
Yeah, it does. I want to see Elven and Dwarven Stormcast.
Me too. I want to see Orc Stormcast. I really do. Vampiric Stormcast or whatever, just to piss Nagash off a little bit more.
Up yours, Nagash.
Exactly.
So, congratulations to 40k, because you have absolutely stormed that entire category. It's been...
And not just that category, this entire endeavour. Almost all of the questions, it's been either 40k itself or 40k related.
Yeah, completely. I was surprised at how much the Death Guard really took hold. And it gives
people...
Yeah, it gives you a really nice slice, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this. It gives you a nice slice of what happened in 2017, instead of doing a year in review, which is something I considered doing. Yeah. Doing this, we get a really nice idea, a nice flavour of what 2017 was.
And what people are responding to, you know, what they're really getting excited about. And I'm not surprised the Death Guard took it, because people have been asking for this for decades. They've been asking for chaos-specific codices for a long, long time. And this is one of the earliest examples of it, and it's so good. It's so good. It marks something very special. It marks them responding to the fans and giving them what they're asking for.
Yeah. And it's exactly what's happened, and it is really cool to see it. What I've quite liked is we are quite a small podcast at this point in time. We are a small podcast, a small group. We're picking up steam, and people are finding us, and that makes me very happy.
Absolutely, I've noticed a pickup in the Facebook page.
Oh yeah, the Facebook page is really active, and that makes me very happy. And the listenership for the show is just gradually rising, and people are coming to us from outside of our usual areas, and that makes me very, very happy. I'm glad that people are finding us, and I'm glad people are finding us entertaining. But in our small area, we've had a really good feedback from this. You know, the people who've jumped in and been able to answer things, and people who don't listen to the show have also jumped in. You know, it's been really good, and I can't thank you all enough.
Absolutely not. I mean, for everybody who listens, who takes part, who is interested in what we're doing here, you know, enormous thanks. Yeah. Enormous thanks.
Yeah. It's been really, really fun to do this. Although saying that, me and maths don't get on very well, so that was less fun. But, you know.
But no, colour me completely unsurprised by that final result.
Yeah, there was nothing else it was going to be. I mean, I would have thought Necromunda would have hit higher.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the controversies around the nature of the release may have diminished it a little.
I think so. I think it sold really well, but then we've got a year's worth of stuff, and people were going, do I really want Necromunda at the top of my list?
Yeah.
So
kind of a shame.
It is.
Kind of a shame.
It is. So, with all that being said, then, we're going to get out of here for this show. Mostly because I really need the toilet. Just to break the fourth wall. And we will see you all very soon. George, where can people find you if they would like to find you?
Find me at the Strange Playgrounds website, www.strangeplaygrounds.com, where you can find reviews and articles and lots of free fiction at the moment. You can also find me at the Twitter page Enigmatic Elegy and the YouTube channel Exaggerated Elegy, which is going to become much more active very soon, by the way. You can also find a lot of my articles on gingernutsofhorror.com.
Excellent stuff. You can find me here at the Fluffenhammer at thefluffenhammer.weebly.com. You can find me at rivetedsounds.co.uk, which is my audiobook production company, and you can find me on YouTube under Gruff Nexus Audio or Grufflock, and also the Creaks, which will be coming back at some point.
I hope so. I massively enjoy the Creaks.
We are struggling to find ways to get the Creaks recorded.
Oh, it's such a shame because it's such a good show. I mean, it entertains me enormously.
There is some other stuff going on behind the scenes with the Creaks, which we need to sort out with the RSS feed and whatnot. But I'll not get into that here. But yeah, it will be coming back. It's just we're struggling to find ways to do it. There will be ways. I don't know what they are. That's how it works at the moment. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much to everyone who nominated and voted. Thank you very much, George, for attending.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure, as always.
And thank you very much, Typhus, for making every appearance that you did.
Yeah, surprising as it is. Well done.
Goodbye, all.
Bye-bye.